This is an introduction video for the Queensland Government tender ITO BAS0914SEQ for the provision of unplanned maintenance and minor upgrade services. For this ITO, we have converted the usual Word document response form into an Excel workbook. The reason for this is a reduction in duplication for offerers responding to the tender, increased flexibility for tailoring the response workbook according to offerers' needs, and to increase the efficiency in evaluation. All of the information provided in this video is for guidance purposes only, and the information within the bid sheet and ITO documents that are released via Q tenders will take precedence over this guide. The document structure for the response workbook involves 10 worksheets. The index on the introduction tab will summarise these worksheets. The first 8 here are compulsory, and the final Appendix A is an optional. And all of these worksheets relate to a worksheet down the bottom here. Different cell colours represent different requirements from the offerers as they complete the response workbook. There are pre-populated cells shown in blue, white and the shaded colour here. There are yellow cells that require data entry from all offerers. There are blue cells that require data entry only from incumbents, and green data entry cells where an attachment is specifically requested. It is important that offerers carefully read the notes included in the introduction tab. In particular, I'll point out the requirement for offerers to complete this response workbook in numerical order. That is, complete tab 1, followed by tab 2, followed by tab 3, and so on and so forth. And also, offerers are not to modify this workbook in any way due to an analytical tool which we will use in evaluation. Any changes to the formatting may result in a non-conforming offer. The first worksheet requiring completion by offerers is the company profile. Please take note of the notes to offerer, which will be at the top of each worksheet, and also the legend, which is consistent throughout the response workbook. It is very important that each offerer submits their full legal name in this cell here, as it automatically populates the offerer name up the top of each worksheet throughout the response workbook. All of these yellow cells require data entry. Where there is nothing to input for a particular question, please put NA. When you click on some data entry cells, you will see a drop-down arrow with some predefined answers, and you will need to select the appropriate answer for each question. It is important that offerers nominate a representative for all correspondence throughout this tender process. The response workbook contains automatic formatting, which will take effect as you input certain answers. For example, this is a question for current incumbents. If you are not a current incumbent, it will automatically change the colour of these cells to do not fill. Further down, we have an example of where an attachment is required. This is for an insurance certificate of currency, and it is important that offerers insert the file attachment name in this cell here. At the bottom of this worksheet, we also ask offerers to list all of the addendums which they have taken into consideration when completing this response workbook. For example, you might have taken into consideration 1, 2, 3, and 4. The conflict of interest worksheet is a mandatory for all offerers to complete, and offerers need to select whether they comply or do not comply with the statements for both 2.1 and 2.2. The third worksheet is the intent to offer for compliance and licence requirements. It is important to read the notes as they provide column descriptions for the tables lower down. Table 3.1 gives offerers the opportunity to nominate which service types they intend to respond to this tender for. There is a description if you click in B for each service type. For the purpose of this video, I'll select carpentry. In the indication of specialisation column, this is where offerers can indicate if they only deal within a subset of the service type that they are nominating. Once offerers have selected their service types, scroll down to table 3.2, which is for licences. As you can see up the top, there are general licences mandatory to all service types. There is a drop-down menu. Please complete this for all of the licences. In the column across, please complete the licence number for each licence. As you can see, only the service type which you nominated above in table 3.1 will now be shaded as yellow, which means it needs to be completed. And again, licence number to be input, and there is also additional cell space for any comments. All other service types will remain shaded, which means they do not need to be completed. If an offerer does wish to select multiple trades, they can do so in table 3.1 and then continue to complete the licence requirements as above. The fourth worksheet is on capability and is a questionnaire involving both mandatory and non-mandatory requirements. The first section, table 4.1, are all mandatory questions as denoted in column C. Most questions will have a comply or do not comply drop-down menu, and column F requires supporting details for each question. Most responses have a 250 word limit, and there is a word count tracker included in column G, which will assist offerers in staying within the 250 words. Also in worksheet 4, there is an area for client referees to be completed, and it is mandatory that each offerer provides at a minimum 3 referees, including all details. Table 4.3 is a questionnaire around the offerer's operations, and all of the yellow cells need to be completed. Table 4.4 is around account management. Table 4.5 on organisational capacity and capability. Table 4.6 asks questions on innovation and technology. And table 4.7 allows offerers to complete any subcontractor details if they have answered yes to question 4.5.2 and plan to engage subcontractors. The fifth worksheet is around KPIs, or key performance indicators, and these are subject to change. However, will require offerers to either comply or do not comply with each individual KPI measure. If you select do not comply for any one of these measures, we request that you propose an alternative KPI in column H. All of these yellow cells do need to be completed. Worksheet 6 is around geographical capabilities of offerers. Again, it is important that offerers carefully read the notes that help explain the columns in the table below. In Table 6.1, offerers have the opportunity to select which zones they are able to service, and each zone has a hyperlink to a cluster of suburbs that are included within a zone. For example, Brisbane Metro North 1 includes all of the zones in this table, and below there are other zones and different clusters of suburbs. So for example, I'll select yes to Brisbane Metro North 1, and then the whole row opens up as yellow data entry cells. Section B is requesting information around the offerer's capacity to service the particular zone and the main delivery method, be it through self-delivery or subcontracting. And again, all yellow cells do need to be completed. Section C is around a local presence, and this is to assess how local the offerers or their subcontractor network is to the zone that they are responding to. Section D provides offerers with the opportunity to nominate attendance fees. It's important to note that these attendance fees will include all travel costs, as well as time to assess the job and also the setup time. And there is an attendance fee that needs to be nominated for normal hours, which is between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m, and also for after hours, which is between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Offerers can bid for multiple zones. For example, I may also want to input details for South Coast Zone A. I'll check that I can service all of the suburbs within that zone, and then select yes, I can service a zone, and again complete all details in the yellow cells. As you can see, we have now responded yes to one zone in the South Coast District and one zone in the Brisbane Metro District. Offerers are able to submit a response for as many zones as they can service, and can submit a response for the entire district by selecting all zones within the district. Worksheet 7 is for rate cards, and again it is important that offerers carefully read the notes and also the prerequisites prior to completing this worksheet. These are listed here. There are 3 particular questions or tables that you must have completed, as they affect the automatic formatting, which will allow you to successfully complete this worksheet. If we scroll down to table 7.1, we are requesting offerers to submit hourly rates. In section A, we ask incumbents only to submit the current rates that they have been charging the principal or eligible customers, and this is for informational purposes only. In section B, we require all offerers, including incumbents and new suppliers, to submit rates which will be assessed during this tender. If you recall, in worksheet 3, intent to offer and compliance, we selected carpentry and also locksmith as service types that we would respond to in the tender. We also said that we can provide services within a zone in Brisbane Metro and a zone within South Coast. And as you can see, the automatic formatting makes it clear that the yellow cells need to be completed and all other service types and zones do not need to be completed. We require hourly rates to be provided for skilled tradespersons, labourers and apprentices. We also ask for a percentage fixed margin to be added to the net cost of materials and a percentage fixed margin to be added to the net cost of any hire of constructional plant other than small tools and the like. So for example, in normal hours for Brisbane Metro for carpentry, I can submit a skilled tradesperson hourly rate, a labourer rate, and if I only have a 4th year apprentice, I may submit a 4th year apprentice rate only, and then I'll move down to the percentage fixed margins to be added to the net cost of materials and a percentage fixed margin to be added to the net cost of any hire of constructional plant, and that would be a sufficient response for normal hours in Brisbane Metro. And jumping forward, we have now completed all of the hourly rates and percentage markups for the service types and districts that we are offering. Worksheet 8, the benchmark assessment, needs to be completed by offerers and will be used for benchmarking the time and team structure to complete standard job tasks. As we scroll down to table 8.1, we can quickly link to the service types that we are responding to. So carpentry, and in section A we are asking for the team structure. Here we need the most common team structure to complete the specific job task. For example, we might say 1 skilled trade person is required and 1 4th year apprentice. In section B, we are asking offerers to provide the average time it takes for the team structure proposed to complete the job task described. This is in minutes, so for example we might say 25 minutes. And over in section C, we have cells that are calculated automatically using the normal hourly rates inputted in the previous worksheet, rate cards, and this is multiplied out by the team structure and the nominated time. It is important to note that the time to complete jobs is for the labour component only and does not include the attendance fee or setup time or any materials or hire constructional plant. Jumping forward, once this table has been completed, there will be an automatic calculated price for every job task for the districts that we have responded to. The final worksheet in this response workbook is Appendix A, Additional Details. Table 4.7 only needs to be complete if you have additional subcontractors which could not be captured in the allocated space in Worksheet 4, Capability, Table 4.7. Down the bottom, we provide a table for any notes to the ITO documents where offerers can list any notes for a particular clause, and please make sure you nominate the document name so that we can trace back any notes to the relevant section. We hope you have found this video useful, and remember, if you have any questions or queries while you are completing the ITO, please submit them in writing to this email address. Thank you for listening.